Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy, the dope ass dude, and thank you for being here tonight. I am really excited about tonight's podcast and about everything that we're going to be talking about tonight, and especially about my guest, Jacobi. This guy is extraordinary and super inspiring, so I'm happy to have him on the show. So you already know, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, if you don't mind going ahead subscribing to the YouTube channel, and while you're there, go ahead and click on notification so that you can be notified each and every time a new video is uploaded to the site. And then also, while you're there, go ahead and click on like so that this can be shared with others just like you. Now, you already know you can watch this podcast every Monday night on Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. Again, that's Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. And also, you can listen on the go. If you're unable to catch it on Monday nights, you can always catch it on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Again, that's Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And then lastly, if you aren't following me on Instagram and TikTok, if you don't mind following me on both of those platforms, I can be found at the Dope Ass Dude Podcast. Again, that's the Dope Ass Dude Podcast. And you can follow me on Threads if you're out on Threads, the Dope Ass Dude Podcast. And just a couple of little things in regards to Jacobi. You can follow him on IG at Jacobi Sold It. Again, on IG, that's Jacobi Sold It. On Facebook, you can find him at Jacobi Winslett. Now, and if you are in the Oklahoma area and you are looking to purchase a home, you can always catch Jacobi. You can contact Jacobi at jacobisoldit.com, and there you can find all his information, where his Facebook, LinkedIn, Google. Give him a Google review. You can even get his telephone number to reach out to him. So I'm really excited about having Jacobi on the podcast. I came across this guy's page maybe about a month ago on Facebook, and I checked him out, and he's a young guy, but this guy is so inspiring because he is already like fastly making dreams come true, and he's doing some extraordinary things there in his area in Oklahoma. And then I know that he is destined to go further than that state line. So I'm really excited about seeing his future and hearing everything he's going to share with us on tonight. And I'm going to go ahead and bring Jacobi on now because I think he'll do a better job at sharing who he is than myself. Jacobi, what's going on, man?
What's up, man? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's been a long day, but all is well. I'm happy to be home and happy to be here. So I'm doing well. How about you?
Absolutely. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. And just letting y'all know, Jacobi let me know he gave up some popcorn at the Thunder's game tonight to be on the podcast. So
I did. I did.
I'm happy for the sacrifice. So Jacobi, tell us a little bit about
Yes.
yourself. What you got going on, man?
Yes. So first off, before I tell you that, though, I was going to ask you if we could. I sometimes have a little bit of a potty mouth, and so I was going to ask you if I could cuss, but I see that there's the word ass in the name, so we should be okay. Like, do I need to keep it PG or what?
No, you good, brother. You good. Just
Okay.
be you. Be you.
Okay,
Yeah, be you.
beautiful. That that's all I know how to be, but sometimes I can keep it together a little bit. But I'm doing well, and again, happy to be here. So, oh my gosh, what do you want to know about me? Where would you like me to start?
Like everything. So we know you're in Oklahoma. We know you're in
hmm
Oklahoma. So you're only 29, right?
I am. Yep,
You're
29. Just
29.
turned 29 a few months ago.
Okay. So well, we got to jump a little bit here. So I was on your page today, and we're just
Oh,
gonna share because we want everybody to see where you got
hmm
started and everything.
sure.
And I came across this picture, right? So, so
Uh-huh.
it's a comparison of you 10 years ago, well, 11 years ago now. So tell us a little bit about what this picture is all about.
Sure. So, obviously, you said this at the point of when I posted it, this was a 10-year picture. And it's not uncommon for you to see kind of like a side by side before and after on my social media, just because I did have a pretty drastic weight loss journey a few years ago. And so this is not one of those. I wasn't too, I was still a little slim in 2014. That's good to see. But this particular one was more so just about this particular one was more so just about my life. And in 2014, I had just graduated high school that year, not college. I had just graduated high school, and probably about, if I guess, at the time this picture was taken, probably about 3 months ago. And I was working at 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven was like my first real job while I was in high school. And I continued working there while I was in college, just kind of trying to figure out what exactly I wanted to do. And so at that particular time, I honestly thought, I don't know why, but crazy me as an 18, 19-year old, I guess even 20-year old, I thought that I would be at 7-Eleven like long term. It's kind of like a long but cool story, but um, previously the 7-Eleven stores that are in Oklahoma were owned by like a completely different owner than the 7-Elevens everywhere else. So essentially all 115 of the Oklahoma locations were owned by one guy, like a franchise. And anyways, I only tell you that to say he was really, really good to his employees. And so as a 19-year-old, I was making just shy of six figures. I was making 98,000 a year. As a store manager at 7-Eleven. And so I thought, I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And of course, the profit sharing and that type of thing was all so good. And profit sharing, 401k, all of that good stuff was so well that I knew multiple people that when they retired from there, they retired a millionaire. And so as a young guy just trying to find my way in life, I hated school. Still do today. But so that's what I thought I would be doing. And then they announced, and it was just before my 21st birthday, I remember. And I'm so glad, obviously, today that it played out this way because I can't imagine still being at 7-Eleven. But at that time, that was what was going on. But they announced that they were selling the company to basically, essentially, to the national corporation. And so they were selling all the Oklahoma stores back to the national brand, which meant that I was going to be taking around a $50,000 a year pay cut immediately. I was going to have to still be doing the same job and taking a drastic pay cut. And so that forced me. You probably didn't see this on my page because I think I scrubbed my social media of it, but. That kind of led me to my next journey. One thing that I always wanted to do was I wanted to be a police officer. I always wanted to go into law enforcement as a kid, and so I did just that when I turned 21. I went to the academy and I was in law enforcement for 4 years. And so that is what I did full time up until getting into real estate. And so that's kind of been like my main jobs that I've had in my adult life is 7-Eleven, a store manager there, and then law enforcement, and then obviously now real estate. I did own a janitorial company too. I owned a commercial janitorial company for 6 years. I know. My people who know me, they often joke like, "You've done everything. Like, how have you been like in law enforcement? You've had a janitorial company." And so I do feel like I've done a little bit of everything, but um, I'll tell anybody starting that janitorial company was the best thing I could have ever done because it allowed me to be able to live comfortable, and it also allowed me to be able to figure out exactly what I wanted to do. Like at the time when 7-Eleven announced that they were selling their company. And so because I was able to leave there, still provide for myself, still pay my bills. At one point, that company had grown to where I had 34 employees. Of course, COVID came along and changed that because then all of being a commercial cleaner, a lot of my accounts were no longer open. And so they could, or either that, or they just couldn't afford to pay for the services any longer. And so that caused me to scale back. I also caused me to have to get out there and start helping clean again. But best thing I ever did for sure. I sold that company and or sold off all my accounts and closed that company down in February of last year. So today I just do sell real estate full time.
Wow. Wow, wow. So let's talk about that though, because you started your janitorial business. You started at a young age, and I think regardless to what age you're at, there's always going to be a fear of stepping out and doing something different. And it seems like you've had a couple of moments in your life where you pivoted. You just didn't get into one thing. You was get here and you say, "Hey, I'm gonna do something different," and you do it. So how do you maneuver like pivoting and just doing something different? Because I think, like I said, regardless to what age you are, we all feel that fear of starting something new. So how do you do that?
That's true. Grandmother around.
Hey,
I believe
Jacoby,
she's
say,
yes.
okay, now we can hear you. We can hear you now.
You can hear me? Okay.
Yep.
Do I need to start over that sentence?
Yeah, start over that
Okay,
sentence.
I got you. I got you. So I was saying that recently I was having a conversation with my great grandmother. I'm blessed to still have her around. She is 83, and she jokingly mentioned me essentially having a lot of jobs or doing so many different things in the past, and we kind of laughed about it. But I told her I was like, Nana, you worked at a factory for 40 years, but then, and she's so proud of it, and I love that for her. But then she'll also tell me like how much she couldn't stand it. Like there was always like, there's always some type of complaint that goes along with it. But she stayed there. And I just told her, that's not me. Like, I'm not the type of guy to stick around somewhere if I'm not genuinely happy. And so that was honestly one of the big reasons that I say, like, I'm so grateful that I started that janitorial company because it allowed me that flexibility and freedom that if I was somewhere and I wasn't happy or I wasn't making the type of money that I wanted to make, I could go and find something else where I was. And so I think that's just essentially what it is. I'm not, I don't care about, necessarily saying, oh, you've worked at a lot of places. What I care about is that I feel that I'm fulfilled, that I am making a good living, and that I'm ultimately happy. And so if that means trying a few different careers until I find my lane and my groove, I'm good with that.
Wow. Wow. And I definitely want to point this out here too, because I don't want people to think like, oh, he's young and he's staying at home with his mom, them. He don't have real grown folks bills. No,
Oh
this brother
goodness.
work. He has his own
No,
bills, just like
I
everybody else.
I have been on my own since I was 18. And so the day I turned 18, actually, I got my own apartment and I have never been back home since then. So yeah, real grown. And I wish that, no, I don't wish that. I love being on my own. So
So, okay, so you said you look for fulfillment in jobs. Like, so what does fulfillment look like to you? Like, or what does that feel like to you? Okay, Jacoby, we can't hear you again.
no.
Say something else.
Something. Can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
Okay. Um, all right, tell me if I go out again. But today fulfillment looks a little bit different than it did back then. Let's be very realistic. We work to make a living and to make money. And so obviously it's important to me that I make a good living and that I make as much money as I can. That's a thing. It just is what it is. But I have found a new purpose and fulfillment in what I do today because not only am I able to provide a good life for myself, but I'm also able to have such an impact on a huge moment in people's life. Purchasing or building a home, purchasing home in general is for majority of people, it is the biggest asset they'll ever purchase. It's the biggest transaction they'll ever make. And there's a lot that goes into it. And so being able to be part of that process and genuinely help people, that is kind of at the core of who I am. That brings me peace and happiness. It's just being able to help and serve others and make a difference in their life. And so that kind of goes back to my heart in law enforcement. Although I was so excited to get out of that field because it was dangerous and I'm 5'6", so it was a mess. I had to fight too much, and it was not a good situation. Okay, so happy to be out of there. But one thing that I really loved about that about that job was that I got to help people. I got to, and not only did I get to make like a genuine impact in their lives, but I seen it and I felt it. That gave me fulfillment. But clearly, it wasn't enough. It was too dangerous. So I had to pivot and find something else that gives me fulfillment, which is still in and of itself helping and serving people while also making a good living for myself, and it's a beautiful thing.
Nice. So what led you to real estate? What brought you there?
Um, I don't have people ask me this question a lot, and I don't have some like super pretty answer for you. Honestly, the biggest thing was the financial possibility. And so I knew when I went to college, my major and focus was sociology, and I just didn't know exactly what I even wanted to do with that degree, and what type of jobs that I could have that would make me the most amount of money. And so I seen real estate as a potential avenue for that. Of course, you see things like Selling Sunset and those type of TV shows where you see like kind of like this lavish life. And I'm like, I may or may not be just a slight bit bougie. So that kind of spoke to me and attracted me. I was like, okay, I need that car, I need that bag, I need those things. And so, honestly, that's what it is. It is 100%. It was the financial possibility that is what made me interested in real estate. It's not because I love houses. I'm not somebody who just sits on Zillow and looks at houses all the time. Even before I got in real estate, that's not me. So it wasn't like, oh, I just love houses or I love real estate. Of course, today I've grown a love for it now after doing it for almost 2 years full time. But that's not why I got into it. And even still today, that's still not my answer. But what initially attracted me was absolutely the financial possibility. And I have to say too, like I think that attracts most people to get into real
Absolutely.
estate is the financial potential and the freedom and all of that. I think that attracts a lot of people. But the reality is, it is incredibly hard. It is hard to be successful in this field. It requires a lot of work and it requires a lot of grit that most people just simply don't have. And so I have a ton of friends that are in the field, obviously, and not many of them do as well as I do. And if you ask me why, it's because I don't stop. Like I am always grinding and making it happen because that's what it requires. Especially in my role here, I have a beautiful opportunity where I sell exclusively for a pretty large builder here in Oklahoma City, and so I sell all of his homes and all of his development. So thankfully, I have two assistants that kind of help keep my life on track and organized and manage the chaos. But it's a lot. It's not easy, but it's so worth it for sure.
So, okay, so let me ask you this here. So I
Mhm,
respect your transparency of how you say you got in it for the money. Hey, it is what it is.
mhm,
But
mhm,
once you got in there and when you look at
mhm,
your social media, you can see that there's been a shift a little bit. You love it. You can see the love in your presentation, how I
mhm,
mean, you up here hugging your clients and everything, showing up with flowers and all of this other kind of stuff. So you can
mhm,
see the shift that
mhm,
now you like love what you're doing.
mhm.
What was the turning point?
I honestly I don't know if there was a turning point just because I love people and I love helping people. And so as soon as I started getting to do that, I loved it. Because that's just kind of like the core of who I am. If I can make a difference in somebody's life, whether that be as a law enforcement officer showing up in a time of crisis, or whether that is the person that's guiding them through their buying or building journey for their new home, that is what's most important to me. And so I think it's easy to be happy whenever I get to be part of such a huge thing, and then especially like you said, the closing day videos. I made a video referencing the other day the fact of like I know I post those often where you get to see the excitement that of what is closing day, and you get to see the hugs and the flowers and the gifts and all that fun stuff. What you don't get to see is not all the days between that 30 days of the contract and getting to that closing day. Not all those days are pretty. Sometimes it's like, damn, are we gonna close? Like, is this deal gonna bust? Like, We have to be creative sometimes, and it can be incredibly stressful. But even that, being able to guide them in through those difficult times and leading up to that day, it makes it absolutely worth it. So yes, you're right. I 100% love what I do, which is help people, serve people, and in return, it provides me a good living. It provides me fulfillment because I'm able to impact people's lives. I still don't just love houses though. I mean, I know about them now. I know a little bit, particularly new construction. Obviously, that's my thing. But I don't care about them houses. What I care about is the relationships and the impact that I'm able to have on people.
Okay, so let's talk about so and okay, because you have like, I mean, and I really urge anybody that is looking to purchase a new home, whether you're in Oklahoma, wherever you are, check his page out because he gives out so much information in regards to whether to get a new house, a pre-existing home, or whatever. He gives out so much information. So like, what advice would you give someone that's looking to purchase now? Would you tell them to buy a direct from a builder, or would you tell them to get a pre-existing home?
Now, John, you know I'm gonna tell them to buy from a builder, but
So your sound is going out, Jacoby.
you can't hear me. Oh
Now I
goodness.
can. Now I
You can hear me
can.
now? Okay, I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know what happened. I don't know. We got all the bars. I don't know what's happening, but so I'm going to tell them that I would absolutely recommend buying from a builder, by essentially buying new construction if you can. Now, the reality is that's not everyone's reality, right? Not everyone has the funds for that or the budget for that, but what I always tell whenever I'm consulting with my buyers is number one, you have to make the best decision for you. And if that is staying within your allotted budget that you know is going to be comfortable for you as far as your monthly mortgage payment, things like that, for a lot of people, that may be a used home initially. That may be a pre lived in home or, excuse me, so, but for others, if you do have the budget for it, of course, it's always a good idea to purchase new construction for multiple reasons. But one of the biggest ones is just the peace of mind and the low maintenance aspect of the fact that if your HVAC system goes out, that's a $10,000 or more repair in a lot of cases that you're not going to have to come out of pocket for because it comes with a warranty. And so, just the fact that beyond everything being brand new, and you don't have someone else's kind of gross, but toenail clippings or something in the carpet. You know what I'm saying? Like those are things those are things that someone like me who's a germaphobe, I think about, and I'm like, okay, cool. No one's ever used this bathroom before, like things like that. So beyond those type of things, if you're weird like me, it really is ultimately the peace of mind that comes with knowing that, hey, if something goes wrong, there's a warranty that's going to take care of it. You also get a lot of times builder incentives, which is nice, whether that be paying for your closing costs or buying points off the interest rate so you can have a lower monthly payment. The reality is, obviously, in most cases, a brand new home is going to be more expensive than a used home. In most cases, depending upon the area, there's some anomalies, especially if you're here in Oklahoma. We have a pretty decent housing market here compared to most other places. I think that's one of the biggest things that actually attracts people to Oklahoma is the cost of living. And so um, I would ultimately say if you can afford it, absolutely do new construction. One other thing that I often encourage my buyers to consider is the price versus the cost. There's one thing that comes down to if you said, tell me in like bottom line difference between new home and a used home, and it comes down to price versus cost. Up front, a newer home, if you have two homes the exact same size, exact same specs, 3 bed, 2 bath, 2.5 bath, whatever it is, 1,500 square feet. And one is brand new and one is used. The brand new one is going to be more expensive. However, it already has all the benefits that I listed previously. So you have that aspect, but then you also have the aspect that, yes, you're paying a higher price up front, but you don't think about how much less are your utility bills going to be in this brand new home that has energy efficient appliances and features and good insulation and good windows and it's been super sealed and all this stuff, right, that we do to homes today to make them energy efficient. How much less is your utility bill is going to be on that versus a home that was built in 1980? right? So you have the cost of the long-term cost that comes into play. For us, I obviously, as you can kind of tell from the conversation, I sell exclusively for a builder. I'm contracted with a builder that I will only sell his properties, and I sell all of his developments. Currently, we have 4 active here in the Oklahoma City metro area, or active developments or communities. And for us, on the average home with the energy efficient features that we have compared to a used home, someone could save on average of $300 a month just on utility bills alone. So stuff like that, that we don't think about. If you're looking at just the upfront price and you're not thinking about how much your utility bill is going to be, how much maintenance are you going to have to do and put into this home over time, I promise you all those things are going to cost more eventually than if you are able to just get the new home and not have to worry about those future expenses that are going to come up. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, this is really, really good information. So let me ask you this here.
hmm
Like where I live, less than 5 minutes away from my house, they're building six
hmm
new communities. Six new
Okay.
communities, all
hmm
different builders. How do you know which builder to go with?
I would say definitely shop around the same way that you would if you're purchasing a car. You're shopping around at the different dealerships, look up reviews, go into their model homes, meet with their team. I mentioned earlier that I have 2 assistants that work on my team, and they kind of help me make the magic happen. One thing that I stress to them often, particularly here, now I know you're in DFW area, and I'm not familiar with their market, but what I am familiar with is the market here. And one thing I stress to my people is there's competition around us. Obviously, there's other builders in the area. There's other people selling and building and selling new homes. We're not the only ones. And the reality is, not only are we not the only ones, but we're using a lot of the same products. And here in particular, with our closest competition, we're even using the same trades to install those products, meaning the same plumbers that's doing the plumbing in my houses are doing them for those other 3 builders that compete with us as well. What I'm getting at is a new home is a new home. Now, obviously, there are some builders that build a quote unquote cheaper product, and that's their goal. They want to provide a new home for those people who only have a $200,000 budget. And so, of course, it's not going to have as nice of finishes or nice of maybe materials, that type of thing. But for the people that we compete with, we use a lot of the same products, same traits. So what makes a difference and sets us apart is you. It's me. It's my assistants. When people walk in the door, how do you make them feel? It's that saying of, you know, people a lot of times may not even remember what you said or what you did, but they will remember how you made them feel. And so if you come in and you have a consultation with me and you can tell, like, man, Jacobi actually cares, or he's actually knowledgeable, and one good example that kind of resonates with people often is, if I don't know something, I'm not going to BS it. I'm just going to tell you, hey, I don't know. First time I've heard that one, but let me get the answer and I'll get back with you. If people know, like, hey, this is a genuine guy, he knows his stuff, I can trust him, then I think that kind of makes the difference. And it also, one big thing for me personally is building rapport with my buyers. I want to build a good enough rapport that when I reach out to you to follow up and figure out what we're doing when we're moving forward, that you feel some type of obligation to respond to me. And so I think that it really comes down to obviously researching the builder. I would look at their Google reviews, request their specification sheets and compare them. What type of products are they including in their home? And then what is their staff like, especially if you're doing a new build with a builder, because that means you got to deal with these folks for us, build time is 5 months. I know for a lot of people, sometimes it's like a year. So however long that time is that it takes to build your home or get to closing, 5 months, a year, whatever that is, you have to deal with these individuals. So are they professional? Are they honest? Are they prompt when you have a question? Are they getting back to you? Those are all things that I would consider.
So, Jacobi, at your
Mhm.
homes, does your assistant have fresh baked oatmeal cookies and freshly squeezed lemonade?
You know
I,
what?
I
Not the
just walked out
lemonade.
the door. I just walked out the door.
Not look. We don't have the lemonade, but you know what we do got? We have wine, we have beer, we have soda, water. No, we don't have fresh lemonade, but every now and then Reba is one of my sister's name. Every now and then she'll bring some cookies or cupcakes or something, but there is always snacks in there.
Hey,
You
I'm
just
just
take a
saying.
you're pushing it just a little bit with the fresh lemonade and all that.
Hey, I used to go to model homes just for decorating tips, and I always liked the fresh baked cookies and the drinks and that kind of stuff, even though I wouldn't
Let
buy
me
the
ask you
house.
this. When you went into those model homes or open houses, whatever it was, were you upfront with the folks and told them like, "Hey, I'm just here for decorating tips and your snacks," or did you say
Absolutely,
anything?
absolutely not. I got the cookies and I looked around and I even grabbed the pamphlet and I left. And they never heard from me again. I'm all about
Did they did they did they reach out to you?
I think so. Yeah, I do think so. Yeah, if I
Okay.
remember correctly, they did reach out. So
Okay.
yeah, that was been
You know
years
that you know
ago.
that's you know that's one of the big things for um people in sales, whether you're selling houses or cars or boats or whatever it is. People do not follow up. And I can't tell you how many new clients that I've gotten because they're like, I was dealing with so and so, but they just, they never got back to me with the information or they never followed up. Um, I am huge on that. I'm prompt on that. Customer service is big time for me because my business operates typically or essentially by referral and social media. Obviously, you can tell that I run a lot of social media ads and I have some strategic marketing for that purpose. But customer service is big. When you can provide such a good experience for people during that process, they will tell other people about it,
True.
and that is kind of been one of my quote unquote like secrets to success beyond having good work ethic and being disciplined, obviously focusing on customer service and ensuring that I'm giving my buyers the best experience possible. It makes all the difference because then when they're talking to their homegirl at work and they say, "Hey, I kind of need to get a new home," they're gonna say, "Call Jacobi," and that's what happens. And so that has really been a game changer for me, focusing on that aspect of it. Again, the home is the home, and it's pretty damn similar to the other builders down the street, if we're being honest. But I am what make the difference for my buyers.
You and the chocolate chip cookies that when you break it, the chocolate pulls apart. So
Look,
everybody
okay,
in
so I'm gonna go.
Oklahoma,
I'm gonna get some chocolate chip cookies for open houses this weekend.
fresh baked, fresh baked.
Well, I,
Okay,
if I'm the one that got to bake them, they're gonna probably gonna be burnt. I'm just gonna tell you now. It's not good.
so let's talk about like interest rates. Okay, well, before we get to interest rates, so I saw one of your videos, you stated like get with the lender and then they can
Hmm.
tell you like if your credit score is up to par. Because like right now, credit scores is super important when you're buying a house.
Hmm.
So talk a little bit about finding a lender.
Sure. So in the video you're referencing, which there's actually multiple videos where I reference that because it's such a huge thing. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've met with a client or a buyer for the first time, and I'm in doing discovery, so I'm learning about them, figuring out all the things of their wants and needs and whys, so that obviously I know how to best guide and direct them with this home buying or throughout this home buying journey. But that I'll say, well, what budget are you want to stay within? What's a comfortable monthly payment? And I'll have people say, "Oh, I don't have a budget." And so I'm like, "Well, does that mean that are we a millionaire? Like we have unlimited funds? Like what did that mean? Because everybody has a budget. Even the millionaire has a budget." And so um you can find yourself kind of wandering aimlessly if you don't take the necessary steps prior to going out and looking at homes. The number one step that you need to take beyond connecting with a real estate professional, whether that be a realtor or whether that be a sales rep or sales agent with a builder, your number one step beyond that should be connecting with a lender, because a mortgage lender is going to be able to tell you not only, number one, can you even purchase a home right now? Because some people think like, oh yeah, I can buy a home, and then they apply and they realize like, no, I actually need to pay some debt off first, or I need to file my taxes from 2 years ago. You never know what could potentially hold you up. And so doing that is going to tell you not only can you purchase a home, yes or no, but it's also going to tell you what budget that you need to be shopping within. Do we need to be looking at a $300,000 home, or can we look at a $700,000 home? So if you just walk in and you're like, oh, I don't have a budget, I just kind of want to look at everything. Well, I don't have time to waste. And so I'm going to need you to get a pre-approval. Now, I don't misunderstand. I will help buyers. I will work with buyers without a pre-approval. I know some real estate professionals that they won't even have a conversation with you unless you have a pre-approval letter in hand. And for understandable reasons, I get it. That's not me, just because I've helped so many buyers that they didn't have a pre-approval because they didn't even know if they could purchase a home. They were just wandering. They were lost. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know where to go. And so I was able to direct them, let them know, look, yes, we can look at homes. I can show you all the options. I can tell you everything that you need to know, but you have to connect with the lender, because that is going to tell us where we should be looking as far as price. And that, I mean, that's the biggest thing that it comes down to. The other part of that, so not only does it help me do my job, so I know the exact homes that I can be pushing you towards or recommend to you. So that helps me. The part that I've seen this part play out. So many people will say like, oh, I'm working on my credit, or I even have some people that are like, I'm in credit repair. That's great, right? That's a great step to take. But even if you say, hey, I'm working on my credit, I probably want to buy a home next year. If you have the thought that you want to become a homeowner at any point, next month, next year, 2 years from now, I would still recommend that you connect with a mortgage lender and apply, just so that you can find out that initial yes or no. Can you purchase a home right now? A lot of buyers are surprised to find that they can actually buy a home right now. They just never thought it was possible. I know this, my answer is kind of long winded, so forgive me, but my most recent video that I posted was actually one about my most recent closing. And that particular buyer, she walked into one of my open houses one weekend, just to kill some time. She had like a hair appointment nearby that she was about an hour early for. And so she just seen the open house sign, and probably like you, came in looking for chocolate chip cookies. And but you know what? When she came in, she was upfront about that. She told me, she was like, "Hey, I'm not looking to buy a house. I just got some time to kill. Is it okay if I look around?" I'm like, "Absolutely." But me being me, that just tells me I need to find out more. And so and I'm like, "Do you mind if I show you around? I can tell you about the home." She's like, "Yeah." So as we're walking around this home, I'm not just telling her. I really didn't care too much about. Of course, I told her the features of the home just to kind of make conversation. But what I wanted to know was, I wanted to know about her and her situation. Have you even ever considered purchasing a home? The answer was no. She was renting an apartment, and for her, she just never thought that that was a reality. No one in her family was a homeowner that she can recall, and so it was just kind of one of those things that she kind of wrote off in the back of her mind as impossible or unreachable. And so kind of had the same
Mm.
conversation like, Jessica, if you have the Lord, I just said her name. Goodness. If you have the that's okay. If you have the desire to become a homeowner again next month or next year, your number one step should be to connect with the lender, just so they can tell you, because there is some cases, of course, where some people have some things they need to clean up on their credit, right? Or you need to save up a bigger down payment. Connecting with the lender now, early in the game, they can help you get a game plan in place, so that when you are actually ready a year from now or 6 months from now, you're truly ready. I think it is like the worst thing ever. And I've seen that happen too, where I meet a buyer, let's say 6 months ago, and they're like, yes, in 6 months, I'm going to be ready to buy a home. And guess what? They actually come back in 6 months and they're like, all right, Jacoby, I'm ready. And I'm like, okay, have you applied with the lender yet? No, I'll do it right now. They do it. And then they realize, like, oh crap, I got to be in credit repair for 6 more months. Well, if you had done that 6 months ago and I initially told you to, today we could be actually moving forward with your home purchase, because you didn't know that you had some things you needed to clean up first. One last thing I'll say to that note of connecting with the lender and why it's so vital is, particularly for those people who say, hey, I have some things on my credit that I need to clean up first, or I need to pay off my debt. you still need to connect with a mortgage lender, because I've also seen it where, let's say someone, for example, has six um, negative accounts on their credit, right? Or six debt accounts. Well, one of those accounts may not have reported for the last 5 years. It's still on there, but it hasn't reported anything in the last 5 years. You don't need to pay that account. Actually, it could hurt you by paying that account off. If you pay all your debt off, your score could actually drop initially and prevent you from being able to buy a home. Whereas if you had applied with a lender, they could review your credit profile and say, hey, these are the two accounts that's affecting your score negatively the most. Pay these two down, don't touch those other ones. And guess what? Not only did you got more cash in your pocket, right? But you're also able to move forward with your home purchase. Versus if you just doing stuff on your own and you're thinking you're doing what's best by paying off all your debt or by cleaning up your credit, connect with the lender, let them assess it, and let them tell you what you need to do in order to qualify.
Wow. Then that's really, really good, because I never thought about that with the lender. I mean, I've been in my home for a while, but I never really thought about a lender telling you, hey, pay this off, don't do that. Because like you said, we try and we're going to go and clear off everything. But that
Because
could be
people
some
think that's
money in
what
our
you have
pocket.
to do. Not
Yeah.
only could it be money in your pocket, but again, it could hurt you. That's one thing that some people are shocked to see. You know, you pay off an account. Well, if that account had some good history that was contributing to your score, obviously the fact that you have the debt may be negative. But if you had good payment history on that account, for that account, for example, and you pay it off and that account is removed, well, guess what? Now you've negatively impacted your score, when if you had connected with the lender, they could have told you exactly what to do play by play so that you could get approved. One other thing, the last thing I'll tell you is most loan officers are like real estate agents, are usually full 100% commission. So I promise you, they want to give you a loan. They want to give you a mortgage because that's how they get paid. Obviously, they're governed by banks and things like that. So they can't just give you a loan. You have to actually qualify for it. But I'm saying that to say, because they're 100% commission and that's how they make money, they're going to do what they have to do in order to make it happen for you. You just have to apply, take their advice, listen to what they're saying so that they can get you to the finish line, and which is that pre-approval so that you can move forward with the home.
Wow. I love that. This is like really, really good information. Casal said, following up can mean the difference in standing out and being just another business. The experience and follow up matters. I agree with you. He was talking about in regards to when you asked me, did those model homes that had the chocolate chip cookies, if they followed up with me?
100% right. It absolutely makes a difference because most people just don't follow up. And so something so simple, right? If you say you're going to do something, do it. But moreover, if we haven't written out a purchase agreement or a contract, my job is not done. And so I'm going to stay on it until it is. I think that comes to with a lot of people just aren't organized. I will be very honest with you and tell you, hopefully none of my clients are watching this because then I'll be telling on myself, but I can't tell you the amount of times that I'll reach out to someone. And of course, I'm like, hey, I just thought of you today. I just want to see if you have made any progress on whatever it is that it is they need to make progress on, right? And they have, to them, it's like, oh wow, he thought of me. Well, I didn't really just think of them today. My CRM popped up, and the reminder I set 4 months ago to check on Susie at the end of February popped up today, and I reached out. But in her mind, I remembered her. I thought about her. She's important to me. That makes the difference. And so for me, on my back end, of course, I do really care about her, but I have a lot of clients. I'm fortunate enough that I have leads on average of 10 new leads a week. And so it can be very easy to get lost in your follow up and forget who or what you're supposed to be doing or who you should be reaching out to. And so my calendar is like my Bible, if you will. I live by it. And if I don't put something on there, I'm probably going to forget it. And so I utilize my calendar and then the reminders that are in my CRM to, and I'm very detailed too. So I put notes because guess what? If that pops up today and says, hey, follow up with Susie, I might even be like, who the hell is Susie? If it was 4 months ago, it's because I've done so much since then, talked to so many people. So I can go back, look at my notes from when I spoke to her and I have to credit my time in law enforcement for this. Of course, you learn really good report writing because you have to be incredibly detailed. And so that has been very helpful for me because I can go back, and because it was so detailed, I know game play by play what we did, what homes we looked at, what was holding her back, so that I can be prepared when I call her today and be like, "Hey, how's Jacob doing? Your son, whoever, and have you done X, Y, and Z? And is this still happening?" Because I took those notes and I set the reminder and I follow up when I said I was going to.
Wow. So, okay, so let's get back to your grind because you said you're always grinding. How do you
Huh?
stay so focused on your grind? Like, and I'm asking this because I know that we have people that are passionate about things and they're trying to get
Mhm.
their business, everything off the ground. But it seems like there are distractions there. Life, kids, family, whatever happens. How do you tend to stay so focused on your grind?
Um, I don't that is a little bit hard for me to answer just because I think it's kind of naturally who I am. I've always been like a very dedicated person, and I've always just been like a hustler and a hard worker. But I guess if I had to like pinpoint something, obviously, like I said earlier, I like to live a good life. I like to make a good living, and so um, obviously, money motivates me, and especially being 100% commission. If I wake up tomorrow and I decide I don't want to do nothing today, I can do that. But guess what? I'm also making no money that day. So that's the beauty of entrepreneurship, or any type of entrepreneurship where you are self-employed or where you're 100% commission and you work for yourself. I can wake up and say, do I want to try and make $50,000 today, or do I want to lay in bed and make no money? Well, obviously, I want to make the 50,000 today, and so that motivates me to get up and keep going because I want to make sure that I can still eat 5 months from now. Thankfully, I'm a planner and a saver, and so if especially in this world, in the real estate market, you never know what could happen. The market could crash, rates could fly up even higher than they are. Knock on wood, but something, you never know what could happen. Something drastic could happen, and I may not get paid next month. And so that motivates me, ensuring that number one, I have a good life today, but also that I have security in the future, which means having a nice savings. And so, yeah, I think that's what my answer would have to be.
Okay, so we know you are passionate about money. So we're gonna put whatever these people desires and their goals are.
Look, I don't know, John. Sorry to interrupt you. I don't know
No, you're
what you thought I
fine.
was gonna get on here and say, but like, I'm gonna keep it real with you. It's not that I love houses and I just love working every day. I'm passionate about making a good living, and it does make a difference, of course, when you enjoy what you do too. I really enjoy what I do, and it has rewarded me a really nice life, and so of course I'm motivated by that. I don't foresee myself ever doing anything different than real estate. Um, so.
But the funny thing about it, and I appreciate you being honest about wanting to make money because I think a lot of more people need to be honest about that. We want to say, oh well, and I think ultimately we do want to help people. I think that's
Sure.
but we want to make money with it. And a lot of times we're looking for ways to help people and not to make money. And I think that's where we go wrong because you can be thirsty for money. And when you're thirsty for money, it's going to keep you working, it's going to keep you hustling, it's going to keep you thinking. But when you are trying to help people, helping people tend to it can slow us down at times because we're looking at results. Are people liking our posts? Are people coming out to our events? No, well, how can you make money with 5 people at your event? I think that's how people need to start thinking. So I think that's really good how you're thinking about that.
I'm a straight shooter, and that's like I'm honest.
Jacoby,
I'm
we
out
lost.
again.
Now we can hear you.
Okay. I'm just saying like that's my real life, and I'm always going to be honest about what my motivator is. Um so yeah, but you know what? I don't know. I think that being like dedication and consistency is something that I don't know if I should call it a gift or what, but it's something that kind of comes natural to me. It's not difficult for me. Once I decide something, like it's not hard for me to stay committed to it and stay on track with it, especially if I have an end goal in mind. And obviously, end goal of dedication, consistency in this world is that I continue to be able to eat and continue to be able to live a good life. It can even apply to my weight loss journey. I lost 140 pounds naturally, no surgery, no medication, no anything. It took 2 years, but I was consistent with what I said I was going to do. And a lot of people just lack discipline and consistency. So I don't know how, I think because it comes so natural to me, it's difficult for me to answer sometimes. Like, how do you do that? How can you mimic that same thing? I'm not sure how to teach it per se.
Yeah, yeah, and that's. I mean, I love the honesty. I think that, and I
Hmm.
think that's what we need to all like really apply a little bit more and
Hmm.
become a little bit more dedicated and consistent in our own grinds. Because I know, again, like I said, there are going to be people that are watching this and they're going to look at you and they're going to say, "Oh, well, he's young, and oh, he's this, and I'm this, and I got this, and I have all of these responsibilities." But once you commit to something and you see yourself at the end of it, it's easier to work towards getting to that place that you see yourself at. And I think that's where a lot of us we want to find excuses as to why we can't have what we want. But no, you can have whatever you want if you put the work in it.
Whatever you want, you're spot on. I think one of my recent videos that did really well is I was talking about. I think I heard it playing in the background earlier, actually. But it was talking about. It was talking about how, everybody wants to be successful, right? Most people want to be successful. Most people want a lot of money, want to live a good life, but most people aren't willing to do the things that it takes to get there. And rightfully so. If it were easy, everybody would be doing it, right? But it takes that commitment of like, look, this is what I'm going to do. And so I'm a planner. I map stuff out. And so whenever I'm like, when I map stuff out, I mean, like, I'm going to write it down. I'm going to make kind of think it through and think about like, okay, this is going to lead to this. This is going to lead to this. And so I think that helps too. That kind of goes into the organization aspect. I'm a big organizer. I don't know if you know about personality types, but I'm like an entertainer organizer. I'm very attention to detail. And because like I have the next 10 years of my life planned out, it's probably not gonna, stick that way. But that's just how much of a planner that I am, right? And most people are just not willing to set some goals or maybe even some action items, small things. If I could give you one piece of advice as far as like, let's talk about weight loss, because this is something that a lot of people can relate to. Not a lot of people can relate to being an entrepreneur. For some people, they don't need to hustle and grind, because as long as they show up, they're going to get their salary, they're good to go. So that doesn't apply to everybody. But one thing that I'll tell you as far as like my weight loss journey, what helped me be successful was that I made small, slow changes and I stayed consistent with them. I'm one of those people that I was, even as a kid, I was kind of like a chunky kid, right? So, my entire life I was quote unquote bigger. And being 5'6", at my heaviest, I was 278 pounds. And that was during COVID, wasn't nothing else to do but sit in the house and eat. And so, um, but and during after that, once I had reached that weight, I was like, oh my God, I got to change this. I tried all kind of, different diets and stuff. And of course, it may work for like a week. You may lose 5, 10 pounds, but as soon as you stop that diet, you're going to gain it all back. It wasn't until I started becoming very intentional about the things that I ate and I made small changes, such as like for me, energy drinks. I was a huge energy drink person. And so instead of a Monster or a Red Bull, I replaced it with Celsius, a 0 calorie energy drink option, a more healthy option. To where eventually today, of course, I don't drink any, but I still ate like shit. I ate whatever I wanted, but I stuck with that one thing. I did not drink Monster or Red Bull. So, and as time went on, I would add a new thing. But whatever I added, I stayed with it and I stayed consistent. So be intentional about what your goal is and make small, slow changes to lead up to it.
Yeah. And I love that. I recently read the book Atomic Habits. I recently read
Mhm.
it, and it talks about that in the book. And it talks about like we can make goals, but what is
Mhm.
your system for maintaining it once you reach it? We can set the goal to lose 5 or 10 pounds, and then we'll lose the 10 pounds. But how are you going to keep those 10 pounds off? Because if you don't have a system, you're going to gain those 10 pounds back. And then I also loved how you said you would go, you're not going to drink red books, and then you would add something on it. In the book, it talks about that stack habits, I guess, where you're just adding things onto it. So yeah, you have to be consistent with everything that you're trying to do. And I think that's the whole thing. So people that are listening tonight, whatever your goals are, whatever it is that you wanted to do, put in the work, put in the work to get where you want to get. So yeah. So Jacobi, what last word do you have for us tonight? Other than you're gonna have chocolate chip cookies moving forward.
I'm gonna have
Fresh.
chocolate chip cookies moving forward. I would tell you, as you said in the beginning, and I appreciate that plug. If you are in the Oklahoma City area and you are looking for a new home, I would be honored to guide you through your buying or building journey. You can find my information at jacobisoldit.com, as you can see on the screen there. But as it relates to just the overall topic of what we discussed today, like you said, whatever your goals are, be very specific about them and commit to being intentional. And don't. I think a lot of times it can be easy to get overwhelmed with the larger picture, right? If I say, "Hey, my goal is to become a homeowner," or "My goal is to make 6 figures this year," okay, that sounds good. But what are like it takes a lot of small action items that's going to eventually lead you there. So start small. You got the 100,000 at the end, right? But what can I do today and stick with and be consistent with that's going to lead me there eventually? Because it doesn't happen overnight, and if it does happen overnight, it's probably not going to last very long. Um, I say that I kind of had overnight success in real estate, but I'm so grateful that it's lasted now almost 2 years, and so I think we're okay. But typically, if it happens fast, it's not going to last that long. So be consistent, be intentional, and slow down. That's okay too.
Wow, I love that. So, guys, it has been amazing having Jacobi on here tonight. Please go out and follow him on Instagram and on Facebook. On Instagram, he's
Hmm.
Jacobi Sold It, and on Facebook,
Hmm.
he's Jacobi Winslett. So, go out
Hmm.
and follow him on both of those platforms. Look this brother up, and if you have family members in Oklahoma, tell them to see this dude. He got you. He got you. So, everyone, thank you for tuning in tonight. You have something you want to say, Jacobi?
I was gonna say my plug is that I pay a $300 referral fee. So seriously, if you know someone that's moving to OKC and you tell them about me and they say, "Hey, so and so referred me," I'm gonna get your contact information and I'm gonna pay you $300 when their house closes. So please send them my way. I'd be honored to help.
Wow, I need to find some folks in
There you
Oklahoma.
go. Find some folks and send them to me. I would love that, actually. I would love that for me and for you.
But guys, we will see you guys next Monday, 7 p.m. Darius McDonald is my guest next Monday. He's a life coach, so I'm really excited about having him on the podcast. So we will see you next Monday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And again, Jacobi, thank you so much for coming on here, brother.
Have a great evening.
Peace, everybody.